And this story, actually, and you left that out completely, this story starts with blood and it ends with blood. Because long, long time ago, in a castle far, far away, or as the German parent has always started with, es war einmal. So a long time ago, there lived the king and the queen, and they wished for a child. And the queen was sitting, like highly pregnant by the window, and she was spinning with her spinning wheel. Now, the spinning wheel comes up in many, many Grimm stories. First of all, because the oral tradition of storytelling was kept by spinning ladies. Because when you're sitting there all day, you know, there's no TV. So what you gotta do? You gotta tell stories. And other than that, even in Greek and ancient mythology, you have the thread of life. So spinning is also something mythologic. English is my second language. So, you know, threading the thread of life. So the queen was sitting there spinning, more for fun than for work. And all of a sudden, she pokes her finger, and 3 drops of blood fall into the white snow. And as she's looking at it, and it didn't hurt too much, but she's thinking, oh, I wish for a girl whose hair is dark as ebony, and the skin is white as snow, and the lips are red as blood. Lippenrot wie Blut. I hope I don't look too joker like you. So it happened. The queen gave birth to a girl, Haare dunkel wie das Ebenholz, Haut weiß wie Schnee und die Lippen rot wie Blut. And like in those days, unfortunately, many women died of childbirth. So did the queen. So Snow White, Schneewittchen, didn't grow up knowing her mother. And as the king, as he is the king, he had to be remarried. And this is where it starts. He married a woman who was beautiful inside, but outside, but not inside. And she wanted to be the prettiest of them all. And she had a little witchcraft, and she had a magic mirror. So she would ask it every once in a while, you know, just to make sure. Spieglein, Spieglein an der Wand, wer ist die Schönste im ganzen Land? Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the most beautiful of them all? And the mirror would answer her, Königin, ihr seid die Schönste hier. Queen, you are by far the most beautiful here. And then it would stop. And the queen was happy. Königin war gut. So, one fine day, Schneewittchen, Snow White, she would play outside and have a good time. I mean, like, you know, the servants played with her, and I think, like, the golden ball was the most popular toy those days. And she like, and the queen looked outside, and all of a sudden, she was terribly disturbed. It's like, something about this girl. And just to make sure, she would ask her mirror again. She would go, Spieglein, Spieglein an der Wand, wer ist die Schönste im ganzen Land? And the mirror this time would answer her, Frau Königin, ihr seid die Schönste hier. The Queen, Your Highness, you are the most beautiful here. Aber Schneewittchen ist 1000-mal schöner als ihr. But Snow White, sorry, 1000 times more beautiful than you. The Queen did not like that. So she was pretty upset. And for that, she called her most loyal servant. She called Hunter. She said, Hunter, come here. I have something for you. But this is just between the 2 of us. So the hunter comes, goes on his knees and, well, how can I serve you, my queen? And the queen said, my stepdaughter, Snow White, I want you to take her into the forest, deep, deep, deep into the forest, where nobody can see you. And then take your dagger and cut out her lung and her heart and bring it to me. The hunter was shocked, but as I said, he was animals, nothing, only dark trees. There was no lights, nothing, and nobody, not even a bird, who could tell of what is going to happen. Yeah, but so, like when they're all standing there, he takes out his dagger and he gets closer and closer, and while Snow White turns around and she sees the dagger, she falls on her knees and starts crying, like, please, please, no, please don't kill me. Why are you doing this? I haven't done anything to you. And the hunter said, well, I know, but your stepmother is running my paycheck, and I kind of have to do that. And so it's like, oh, please don't, I promise you, I will run for 7 days, for 7 nights, through the forest and beyond, so nobody will know that I am still alive. And I mean, the huntsman, he's used to like hunting down deer or boars or wild animals in the forest, not people. So Snow White's suggestion, he could live with it. He said, okay, girl, promise me for 7 days and 7 nights, you just run. Don't stop, don't sleep, maybe pee, but that's it. So Snow White, she runs for her life, and like, I mean it. So the hunter, he had promised the queen to bring home the heart and the lump. So he goes and he walks a little around, and then he sees the deer. And he's like, what does the queen know? So he cuts down the deer, he cuts it open, and takes out the lungs and the heart. He brings it to the queen. And the queen, by now we all have figured that she's a little cuckoo. She's like, oh, okay, that should be good. You know what? I'm going to eat it. I'm going to eat Snow White's heart and her lungs so I can obtain her beauty. And like right in front of him, she would just gobble it down just like sushi. All right. All right. So the huntsman was released, and the queen was pretty happy because she would live there like, oh, I'm just going to be cool. Queen, lady, whatever. So Snow White, running for 7 days and 7 nights, we all know where she ends up. She ends up on a little hill with a little house, and she goes in there. Like, first she knocks because she is a good girl. She doesn't just invade houses. So she knocks, and nobody answers, and she pushes the door open. Hello? But nobody was at home. But you know what she noticed? There were like 7 small chairs, and like even though that, unlike me, she was a size probably 0. She couldn't write sit there. So like there were 7 chairs, and as much as she tried to sit on it, one butt cheek always fell off. I'm like, okay, that's okay. Hey, I could stand. I was walking 7 days and nights. So she comes to a table. On the table there was still 7 dishes with some food. So from the 3rd dish, she would take a little bit of bread and a little bit of meat and some vegetables. You know, we all need those. Then she would drink a little wine. And then she got tired. And she went to the back of the house, and there were 7 little beds all lined up in a row. And although she was way too tall, or too big, too tall to fit in there, she was just so tired she didn't really fit. So she all curled up and fell asleep. Now, Mr. Disney, to go back to being naive, people back then knew exactly what was going on in that house. I mean, the seven small men, the 7 dwarfs, yeah, they were out of the sight of any adult, so I might have a little tickle on there. But anyway, so they came home, and the first thing they noticed, it's a little bit like the 3 little bears, or the 3 bears. It's like, oh, wer hat auf meinem Stühlchen gesessen? Who has sat on my chair? Wer hat von meinem Tellerchen gegessen? Wer hat auf meinem Bettchen getrunken? Everybody knew somebody was there. And while they were walking the house, and although there were 7, I mean, they were careful to be in the woods. And then they saw back there by the bed, they saw something curled up. And they found Snow White. And although they were careful, Snow White introduced herself. She apologized for invading the house. She was very polite. And she told them a story. Okay, I'm not doing that again. We know that. So she told her stories. The dwarves, they had a good heart. And they said, you know what, this is an evil woman. You stay with us. You stay far away from the evil woman. You stay with us, you can cook, you can clean, like keep our house nice. And, you know, nobody can find you here. You should be pretty safe. Snow White stays, and she does her chores, and she lives and it was a good life. And, yeah, here, because just like in his story, one day the queen, just out of curiosity, would ask the magic mirror again. She would go, Spieglein, Spieglein an der Wand, wer ist die Schönste im ganzen Land? And the mirror would answer her, Frau Königin, ihr seid die Schönste hier. Doch Schneewittchen über den 7 Bergen, bei den 7 Zwergen, ist 1000-mal schöner als hier. Oh, the mirror told her everything. He said there's Snow White over the 7 hills, there's the 7 dwarfs, it's 1,000 times more beautiful there. The queen was like, what? She called the hunter. Hunter comes, and unfortunately that's the end of the hunter, because the queen doesn't like him disobeying. There's no writing up or anything. So, yeah. But anyway, so the queen has is thinking like, oh, I need to, like nobody else is able to kill her. I have to do it. And Mr. Disney, I'm a bit upset. You left the good part out. You just cut it to the apple. But you know what? Before the queen came up with the apple, she was way more harmless. She said, you know what? I'm going to dress up. I'm going to get in an ugly device. I'm going to take off all my makeup and like wear ugly clothes and all that. And I'm going to go and I'm going to sell her something. Something no woman these days could resist. No, not shoes, not a purse. These days, back in those days, belts were pretty in fashion. I don't know if I got it here. So she had like a bar, like she had buckets full of belts, or like basket full of belts. And she goes by the house, and Snow White didn't recognize her. Like she knocks on the window and says, "This girl, I'm selling belts, and someone as beautiful as you deserves a pretty, pretty belt." And Snow White's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna take one." So she pulls out the belt, and she's like, "Come on, girl, I'm gonna help you put it on." So the queen, well, we don't know, well, we know, but Snow White doesn't know. She puts on the belt, and she pulls it tighter, and so I'm like, yeah. And she pulls it tighter, so and Snow White can't breathe anymore, and like one more time, the queen pulls, and Snow White suffocated. She couldn't breathe anymore, and she would drop to the floor, and the queen would just run away, leaving her dead. So it's next evening, the dwarfs are coming back from their work, and they see Snow White laying on the floor, and like, they like the girl. I mean, come on, pretty clean and good food. So she lays there on the floor, and they're checking, like, they're looking for fights, they're looking for blood, they're looking for anything any harm that has been done to the girl. And then they find the belt. Right? Oh, that's what it is. And one takes out a knife, cuts the belt open, and it takes a little, and Snow White can breathe again. So yay, they're going to have a big party. There are a lot of parties.
Daniel.
So they have a party, and the queen by that time, she was a bit faster than everybody else, so she was home just to make sure. She asked her mirror one more time, just, confirm that she did the right thing. She would ask, Spieglein, Spieglein an der Wand, wer ist die Schönste im ganzen Land? And the mirror would answer, Frau Königin, ihr seid die Schönste hier. Aber Schneewittchen über den 7 Bergen, bei den 7 Zwergen, ist 1000-mal schöner als hier. The queen was outraged. Snow White's still alive? How can that happen? I don't think so. Okay, she thinks to herself, I have to be a little more drastic. So if a belt doesn't do it, we gotta go over to my secret lab and we gotta try something new. And again, not shoes, not purses. Oh no, purses was silly. She bought on those days, it was pretty popular, like very fancy combs that you could keep in your hair. So she took the most beautiful from her box with gold and silver and diamonds, and she dipped the tip of the comb into poison. She put it on her belt, and she had another basket full of other combs, put on her disguise, and would walk up again straight to Snow White's house. And there she is, and she knocks on the door, saying, "Hello? Anybody home?" And Snow White, she learns, said, "No, nobody's home." All right. he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. I'm just walking through, and I have those beautiful combs, and I wonder if a girl like you could use one. All right. It's the same those days I had to be, but ooh, pretty stuff, I want it. So Snow White opens the door and says, oh, can I see, can I see? And the queen goes to a different one, and she's like, this one is made for a queen, and you are as beautiful as one. Let me put it in your hair. And Snow White was like, okay. So she would brush it through her hair a few times, and like when she found the right spot, she would take it and slam it into her skull. And with the poison working, and also having a comb stuck in her head, Snow White, one more time, dropped dead, or supposedly dead, to the floor. She was very happy. But you look queen now. She was very happy, and she took off right home. So the dwarfs came back home, and again, I mean, what's this going to do? Again, it's laying on the floor, unconscious, and they're checking on her. First thing they check is their belt. No belt. They check for blood, for bites, for things or anything. And then when they come all the way to the top, of course, they see the combs sticking in her head. And like, that wasn't there this morning. So they pull it out, put it away, and it took a little, but for the blood to get back and the air to get back into her body. And she was waking up and, oh, what happened? And the dwarf said, well, we don't know, but you have this comb in your hand. I'm quite sure your mother came back to go after you. And she's like, oh no, I promise I will never ever open the door to strangers again. And the dwarves were very happy, and another party, woo, 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 so their party. So meanwhile, the queen is back home, and one more time, she's asking the mirror. Spieglein an der Wand, wer ist die Schönste in ganz Nord? Frau Königin, ihr seid die Schönste hier. Doch Schneewittchen über den 7 Bergen, bei den 7 Zwergen, ist 1000-mal schöner als ihr. And now she was just furious. What? And like, okay, so they come, gotta sing, and come up with something that will kill her for sure. And this time, it can't be anything from the outside. Those little fuckers, they find everything. I need to be smarter than that. And like, Germany, if you guys have ever been there, ever lived there, it's very popular for the apples. A lot of apple trees in Germany, and they're just like Irish. Some kind of cider they make and all that stuff. Good stuff. So she would go and pick the prettiest red apple she can find. Okay. I have to really be careful and make sure she's going to eat it. How will I do that? So she goes back into her chamber, and there's again the bowl with poison, and she puts the apple to one half. You didn't do that. One half into the poison. So the good side would be red, and the poison side would be green. So she takes the apple, again, in her basket, like by her side, and she dresses up again, makes herself ugly, same old, goes, I don't know why she's so fast, and everybody else takes like a week to get there, but she's there. And she knocks on the door, and Snow White this time she doesn't say no, she's hiding under the chair. And the dressed up queen is like, my dear child, can you open the door, please? Because first of all, she knows what's going to happen, and second, she promised, of course, not to do that anymore. Like, please, I'm an old woman, and I'm traveling for weeks now, and I need a drink of water and maybe a meal. I'm just tired. Well, that's emotional blackmailing. And she did that, and Snow White had a good heart, so she had to get out and help the lady, and she said, I can't let you in. I promised the dwarf not to let anyone inside the house. And the witch was like, okay, that's fine. I just want to rest here for a while and have a nice talk. And, oh, by the way. Yeah, Snow White was like, I can't take anything. And the mirror would answer her, Frau Königin, ihr seid die Schönste hier. And that was it? Yeah, we did it. She said, no, it did. So, yeah, unfortunately, that did it. And dwarves come home because this time they didn't find anything from the outside. They didn't find a belt. They didn't find clothes. They didn't find shoes or anything. Nothing. They just saw the poor girl laying down there, no blood, like no cuts or anything, and they didn't figure out what happened to the poor girl. So as she was laying down there, they're like, oh my gosh, we're so sorry, and they thought that this girl was way too pretty to be buried under the ground where only worms could see and probably eat her. So with all the handicraftsmanship, they built the glass coffin, put her in there, and found the most beautiful spot in the forest, just like Mr. Disney did, like where the sun comes down and all the animals and all the birds and all the dwarves, everybody can walk. And the dwarves would do that. They would take turns watching her, so nothing bad could happen to her. Well, I don't know if you consider a prince something bad, but he happened to ride along, and he sees the glassware coffin. And he thinks, whoo, well, I'll take you home. And unless, again, the Disney stories are very accustomed to the tradition, so the prince couldn't just grab her, kiss her, and drag her home. The prince told his two servants that, here, Peter, Paul, go take her. So the two servants carried this whole thing. I mean, she was a sight seer, what do you expect, but like with a glassware coffin. It is a bit heavy. So they carried her, and we're talking about, I don't know, American forest, we're talking about German forest, with a lot of wood and a lot of trees and all the roots sticking out. So one of them tripped. We're not doing the kissy-kissy yet, but they tripped. And the whole thing just fell down, and by the shop there, the apple came out of her throat. And again, one more time, she woke up, and this time she was really confused because there were no movers. And she saw this guy and like, well, hello? Okay, I know we got to the point like that they fall in love and like it's a princess. They get married, and there's a hopefully happily ever after. But as I promised you, the story starts with blood, so we need to end it with blood. Like those days when you had a party, there was like everybody had to come. You mean if you were a prince or a king or whatever, just for some standards, you had to invite everybody. You even had to invite the evil queen. So the queen gets all ready, wedding, everybody can see how beautiful I am. And one more time, when she was all done putting her makeup on and so, she asked the mirror one more time, Spieglein, Spieglein an der Wand, wer ist die Schönste im ganzen Land? And answer her, Frau Königin, ihr seid die Schönste hier. Aber die junge Prinzessin ist 1000-mal schöner als ihr. The young princess is 1,000 times beautiful. It's like, what? What's that? Where did she come from? So she decided, well, she had to go. I mean, it's not like, I have to work, I have a headache, I can't come. No, in these days, when a party like this was going on, you had to come. So she swallowed the apple, and she walked, no, she didn't walk, she walked to the carriage. And then they drove to the castle, to the wedding. It was a big party and everything, and Snow White was a bit nervous about seeing her stepmother again. But her husband said, don't you worry, dear. I've taken care of this. I'm going to ask every of the guests for a favor. It's not like the mock wedding. You get a favor, you ask for a favor. So I'm going to ask for a favor. And Snow White didn't know what was going on. But when the queen came for the wedding, it was her turn to grant the favor. She said, Queen, I want to dance with you, but not in your shoes. And he pointed to the servant had already prepared a pair of iron shoes that were sitting in the fire and were now glowing red. She had to put on those shoes, and he made her dance till she dropped dead in the snow. And now they're living happily ever after. The next 3 stories are going to be shorter, so please come back. I counted you, so. Yeah. I don't know.
I'm sorry?